My friend, this is a very serious story about some very serious accusations regarding Russell Brand. And I feel that incumbent upon me to bring them to your attention and the like. And this is very, very interesting, very, very fascinating, something which I want to bring to your attention. First, I want to look at the story and look at it very objectively and dive into it. A story that's raising some serious red flags and one that deserves your attention. And something tells me we're not going to hear the full truth about this from the mainstream media. Because in many respects, and I'm sorry to say this, depending upon the situation, when somebody is charged with cases like this, they're almost presumed guilty because of the fact that people will say, why would somebody lie about this? And if more than one person says this, the chances of veracity, of correctness, increase exponentially. Is that true? I don't know whether it's true, but that happens. Russell Brand, in case you've been in a coma or living in a cave, he is the British comedian turned anti-establishment firebrand. I believe now he's cleaned up, clean and sober, or found Jesus or the Lord or something. He's a completely changed person. Is now facing 5 criminal charges as of today, I believe. These charges were slapped on him by the UK's Metropolitan Police, including one count of, it's the R word. And if I say it, it may trigger YouTube's monetization algorithm. So it begins with an R, and it deals with the worst form of assault you can imagine. So it's one count of that, one count of indecent assault, one count related to non-consensual oral contact, and 2 counts of sexual assault, with a court date set for May the 2nd, 2025, at Westminster Magistrates Court, all stemming from the allegations by 4 women who claim these incidents happened between 1999 and 2005. Think about that. Between 20 and 26 years ago. This was during a time back when Brand was at the peak of his Hollywood fame, with movies like, I guess these were good, Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Get Him to the Greek. But let's hit the brakes for just a second and ask the question that the liberal media in particular will not want you to ask or won't ask themselves. Why now? Why are these charges coming up decades later? And what's really behind this sudden legal assault on a man who's been a thorn in the side of the global elite? Because if you dig into the timeline, this whole thing smells to some like a setup, starting with a 2023 hit piece by the Sunday Times, The Times, and Channel 4's Dispatches documentary series that rolled out the initial accusations from 5 women, 4 of whom conveniently, it is claimed, stayed anonymous, claiming serious misconduct like the R word, sexual assault and emotional abuse, with one woman saying that she was just 16 at the time. Now, a minor in the UK where the age of consent is 16. Now, she alleged that Brand made inappropriate comments about her age, and another claiming he engaged in controlling behavior and non-consensual contact, painting a picture of a pattern that's hard to ignore. But here's where it gets, to some people, fishy. Because Brand has been crystal clear from day one, denying every single allegation, saying in a 2023 video that he absolutely refutes these claims, and that while he was a wild, lunatic guy back in the day, every relationship he had was consensual. And let's not forget who Russell Brand is today. He's not just some washed-up comedian. Oh, no, 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 no. He's a man who's reinvented himself as a vocal critic of the establishment. And he's built a massive following on platforms like YouTube, where he's been calling out global elites. He's questioned health mandates and exposing what he sees as the lies of the mainstream media. So isn't it just a little too convenient, my friends, that these allegations dropped right now when he started gaining real influence, when he became a threat to the powers that be, when he became a thorn in the side of the radical left and the establishment types? Because if you look at the timing, it seems to some like it's almost like clockwork. You know, these claims first surfaced in 2023, just as his brand's anti-globalist message was hitting its stride. And now in 2025, the charges are suddenly, now, decades later, solidified. Almost as though somebody flipped a switch to take him down now. And let's talk about the public reaction, because it's a total split down the middle. With Brand supporters, and there are millions of them, saying that this is a textbook case of character assassination, a way to silence a man who's been speaking uncomfortable truths and things about the world's power structures and the powerful, while the other side include the usual suspects and the, I don't want to be crass here, but to some, they refer to them as usual suspect, in the survivor advocacy groups, and they argue that these allegations are consistent and that it takes courage to come forward. And you can't argue with that, especially against someone with Brand's platform. But my friends, remember something. Coming forward after 20 years raises serious questions, because people are saying, why wait so long? And how reliable are memories from 2 decades plus ago? Why? How? When the legal system is supposed to demand hard evidence, not mere stories, conveniently aligned with a narrative. Now remember, you must understand something too. In defense of these people, sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes victims cannot bring themselves. They're afraid. They're threatened. They want to go away. So when somebody says, I didn't come out at first, I can understand why in many cases that's true. But there is this notion called due process and speedy trial. And even though this is in the British system, the concepts are the same. Constitutional speedy trial, pre-accusatory delay. For him to say, where were you 20 years ago? Where were you? What were you doing on this day? What do you have alibis? Do you have a calendar? Do you remember these events? And sure, some people might say that movements like, the Me Too have emboldened people to speak out, which is great, citing fear and power imbalances as reasons for the delay. But isn't it just as likely, my friends, according to others, that there's another agenda at play here? Is that possible? Because when you're a public figure like Russell Brand, someone who's challenging the entire system, you become a target. And it's all too easy for the establishment to weaponize allegations like these to take you down, whether they're true or not. Because, my friends, let's face it, powerful people get charged with crimes all the time. And often, too often, it has nothing to do with the accuracy or the veracity of the allegations, but rather everything to do with whom they've upset. And Mr. Brand has upset a lot of people, from Big Pharma to the globalist elite, and now he's paying the price, some say, with his reputation dragged through the mud and his future hanging in the balance as he heads to court. And while we're not saying Brand is a saint, far from it, or I'm not saying anything as to the truth or not, I'm not privy to this. But he's admitted to his hedonistic past, which might be a code word, a way of saying I've done some terrible things, and I'm going to refer to it kind of as some wild Hugh Hefner on steroids. But this whole situation, to some people, It reeks of a coordinated effort to maybe neutralize a dissenting voice, a powerful dissenting voice. Because if they can do this to Russell Brand, who's next? Who else will they target for speaking out against the system? And as this case moves forward with Brand's court date looming, it's not just about him. It's about the bigger picture, about how easy it is for those in power to be taken down by allegations that may or may not hold water, and about whether the truth today even matters when the narrative is already set, when it's so sordid and so concupiscent, if you will. So what do you think? Is this a genuine pursuit of justice? Do we know anything? Should we just sit back and say, shut up, you have no idea? Look what they did to President Trump. I'm not trying to parallel the two, but for everything from Russiagate to the two undynistic Russian harlots and on a bed and what? Or is Russell Brand the latest victim of a system that doesn't like being challenged, that will stop at nothing to get back at you, that will do everything in its power to see that you are discredited? So in this comment section, drop your thoughts. And if you think more people need to hear about this, smash that like button, subscribe, share this video. Thank you for watching. This is a discussion. This is something that we need to talk about. Because it's Russell Brand today, but it's going to be somebody tomorrow. And believe it or not, even if you're not famous, it could be you next. Is that impossible? Comment as you see fit.